Hi, it's Theon, Truepreneur, and I want to share 5 lessons boxing taught me about life. The first thing I learned about boxing, and to me was the most surprising, is that I don't think most people really want to fight, not just inside the boxing ring, but in life as well. When I used to box, I used to have a strategy that I sort of picked up over time. When I would get in a fight with a guy, I would kind of take it easy for a second or two, make him think that we really aren't going to have a real competitive fight. And as soon as he got comfortable, I would throw the hardest, most powerful shot I could. And what I learned is that when you hit people hard, the first thing they want to do is most people are going to do is they want to fight back as hard as possible. So what I would do is I would dance and move around and I would jab. And after that initial burst of anger and energy would pass, I would immediately rock them again. And here's what I learned. 80% of that time on that second hit, those fighters would give up. 8 out of 10, they're not really fighting anymore. They don't want to get hit. They don't want to take any more shots. We might be dancing, we might be boxing, but their will to fight has essentially left the building. Those 20% on that second shot, they were ready to go. And I knew from that point in time, however long the rounds were, however well we were doing, it was going to be a battle through and through. The lesson I did learn is that 80% of people, they don't want to battle. They want to be there. They want to pretend. They want to go to gym. They want to jump rope. They want to put on some sweats. They want to look like they want to fight. They don't mean it. Okay. And that's true in business. It's true in life. It's why most people don't become the people they want to be. The second lesson that I learned in boxing is universally true about life is that we learn more in hardships and losses than in victory. Okay. If you win, you think, I did well. You might pick up some pointers and things of that sort and say, yeah, but I can do this better next time. But when you lose or when you struggle, those are the times that eat at you. Those are things you lay in bed at night thinking about what you could have done differently. And so it's sort of a bit of a blessing and a curse, right? We wish we could take these lessons from victory, but we just don't. We're just not wired that way. So if life gives you hardship, if life gives you failure, if life gives you challenges, take that as an opportunity to value the hardships. Those are the opportunities that we improve the most. The third thing I took away from boxing, which is applicable to life, is if you must battle on your terms. So I used to have a trainer, once I got into boxing pretty far, I was pretty decent. And so he said, I'm concerned you're getting cocky. I need to humble you a little bit. I got something special for you today. Yeah, I'm cocky, right? I got no problem. All right, put me in the ring. And what he did kind of surprised me, I must admit. He put me in a fight in the ring with a fighter who was about 30 pounds heavier than me, much larger than me. And so I'm like, okay, it's a sparring session, no big deal. We'll just box it out and see what happens. So he had also taught me a technique a few days earlier where you drop your guard a little bit. Your opponent's going to see an open face. They're going to swing forward. You lift up the guard, you push the shot out, and then you throw it straight right down the middle. It works once, might even work twice, okay? I decided to practice that technique since we're sparring. Now, sure enough, I dropped the guard. Big boy saw it, swung for it. I pushed his hand out of the way, punch right down the middle. Now, as we're sparring, I pulled the punch, but because he was stepping forward, it rang in pretty good, even though I pulled it. And so immediately he got mad, and through his mouthpiece, he says, boy, and I respond, who you calling boy? Now, if you're listening outside the ring, it's probably sound like garbled nonsense because of their mouthpieces in. But that point in time, he's really coming at me. He's trying to put it on me. It's not really a sparring session at this point. Now, what I learned very quickly is his arms were so long and he was so much physically bigger than me that typically when I would dodge and move, which was a staple of my boxing strategy, he was still brushing me. He wasn't landing flush, but he was still hitting me. I realized that if I'm going to box in the middle of the ring, I'm going to lose. That is all to his advantage. I gave him a good little shot to make sure he was good and mad, and I receded into the corner. This got him excited. He is smelling blood at this point. So what he does is he charges after me into the corner. That's a massive mistake. His advantage was A, physical size. He was taller than me. And B, the length of his arms. If he charges into the phone booth in the corner, now I am at an advantage. So what I do is I take a quick step around him. His back is to the corner. I can extend my shots fully. He no longer can. His reach is completely negligible at this point, and I have the leverage. He no longer does. He's not punching down. I'm punching up. I rip him into a right, left, right into his ribs. Clean body shots, nothing to protect himself. And as I back out, jabbing him in the face from the corner, he takes 2 steps out, collapses to the floor. He cannot get up. This fight's over. I point at the coach and say, who's cocky now? Now, if you're going to fight, if you must battle, whether this is legally, whether this is in business, whether this is a sport, you need to fight on your terms. Where are you better than your opponent? What is your opponent's strength? Stay away from that. What is your strength? Move toward that. It's very, very simple. And so that is something boxing taught me about life. The next lesson I learned, number 4 lesson, is pride is a trap. So when I started boxing, I go into the gym and I'm thinking I'm going to box, and they're like, haha, no way, buddy. And what I learned was that the first couple weeks you're there and you're working on the bag, and your coaches are working with you, and they're teaching you a couple things. First of all, they're teaching you some basic steps, some basic movement. Most people off the street cannot actually throw a punch properly. You got some guys that are just phenoms, but most people cannot throw punches and coordinate their feet properly at the same time. That's certainly impossible, I think, for somebody off the street to do. I spent several weeks building up, got into the ring. I was pretty comfortable at that time. And so one day, this guy walks into the gym. He's like, I see the boxing. I walk by every day. I want to get in. And so the trainer says to him, well, just put on some gloves and get in the ring. And so for me, this is an immediate red flag. So I stopped the guy. I said, hey, listen, man, don't get into that ring. That's a bad move if you get in the ring. Bad things are going to happen if you get into the ring. He's like, no, I can do it. I can do it. I say, hey, listen, man, you can do what you want to do. I cannot stop you. I know your pride is telling you you can do it, but you can't and you shouldn't. No, I can do it. I can do it. I say, okay. I watch the guy glove up and get into the ring and immediately get cut to pieces. I do not think he landed a punch in that 3 rounds. In that 3 minutes of boxing, I don't think he landed a punch. He was a white guy, Caucasian guy, round. He was completely red-faced. His nose was bloodied. The boxer's footwork, punching sharpness, and this guy was just throwing flailing punches like guys off the street throw. He never had a chance. I really do not believe, honestly, he landed even one punch. He walked out never to be seen again. You must manage pride. It's okay to be proud of yourself, but pride can lead us into situations that we really got to be careful of. So again, lesson number 4, pride is a trap. The 5th lesson that I learned is, and this is kind of twofold. One, I kind of fell into the pride trap a few weeks after actually that guy went into the gym. But never underestimate your challenge in life. Assume that if you have a challenge, it's going to be twice as great as you expect it to be. So what happened was, I have an uncle. His name is Uncle Phil, right? Uncle Phil had some friends visit him from Corpus Christi, Texas, a little town in Texas. And what I remember distinctly is that one guy was a Mexican guy, and he looked just like Ren, that weird looking Chihuahua from Ren and Stimpy. It just kind of reminded me the way his body was, and he reminded him. And the other guy, I cannot remember his name, but much respect to you, sir. So my uncle mentioned that I boxed. Ren was saying, oh, my buddy, they call him the white boy because he knocks out everybody and yada, yada, yada. And so my uncle's like, psh, my nephew can take him. My nephew take him right now. And so basically what happened is we sort of had this impromptu boxing match. I'm like, yeah, this guy's a street guy. He can't fight. I've seen guys coming off the street get completely rocked in the gym, as I just mentioned. So I'm really not concerned about some street guy. We line up, we lace up the gloves. I'm kind of messing around and I'm kind of talking to my uncle. There wasn't a bell, but whatever they announced to start, this guy stepped in one step and hit me with the most beautiful donkey kick of a right cross I've ever caught in my life. Bare knuckle, inside the ring, bar none, he rocked me. And so when he hit me with that shot, I saw stars. I started moving around. I was like, holy crap, he just blasted my face off. Everybody's like, ooh, and they were acting, I got rocked, man. So I said, okay, all right. And I'm talking trash to him, right? And I'm like, all right, dude, I'm going to get him. That was I'm thinking in my mind, that was kind of a lucky shot because it was just too pretty. This guy steps and catches me with a left hook right on the button again. This time I went black and then I saw stars. And I realized at this point in time, I'm in trouble. If he hits me again, I'm going to be eating grass, eating dirt, because these are the hardest shots I've ever taken in my life. Okay. I'm moving around, understanding that if he hits me again, it's probably lights out and I need to do something. So I'm deadly serious at this point in time. I'm locked in 100% at this point. I'm not underestimating this guy anymore. What I did is I set my feet. I leaned my head in because I knew he's already rocked me twice. He's going to take the bait. And sure enough, there comes that little cross hook thing he was throwing. I leaned to the outside of it, and then I came with the overhand right. And because he's not a boxer, he stepped straight back, which I expected him to do. I caught him with an overhand left, an overhand right, and overhand left. On the fourth shot, he dropped to his knees and threw the gloves off and said, "I'm done." Now, two things that taught me. One, I underestimated his challenge, right? I failed there. And the second thing is that what that taught me is that through adversity, I had the ability to step up to the challenge. You don't really know who you are in life until you get punched in the face. That's not always literally, sometimes figuratively. Until you take a shot that you can just quit and say, I'm done. Or you take that shot and say, all systems are galvanized. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to scrap for real. You don't know who you are. Boxing taught me this 5 lessons. Plus, as a bonus, it taught me who I am as a person. I'm okay with the pain. I'm okay with the struggle. I'm okay taking a shot. It just means I got to get up and fight harder. I hope this resonates with you in some way. I hope my 5 lessons of boxing that taught me about life can somehow do something for you to help you be a better version of yourself. I can say that certainly made me a better version of myself. It is something I'll always value. You can do it, man. You can take those shots and get right up.